Moving on, President Yoon Suk Yeol is on an official state visit to the United Kingdom. After landing in England on Monday and meeting with South Korean expats in London, the president now begins his official state engagements, first with a highly anticipated royal welcome by the British monarchy. Our Oh Soo-young is traveling with the president and is standing by in London to fill us in on the events that'll take place. So, Sooyoung, first of all, it's a huge event welcoming President Yoon, who is the second world leader to make a state visit to the UK since King Charles III ascended to the throne. So what's the atmosphere like over there?
Hi, Jeong. So we're minutes away from the official ceremony starting, and leading up to Tuesday, there have been South Korean flags and promotional videos of Korea-UK relations displayed pretty much everywhere in very iconic parts of central London, such as Trafalgar Square, Piccadilly Circus, and near Whitehall. So the anticipation really has been building. And local broadcasters this morning, including the BBC, LBC Radio, and papers like the Daily Telegraph, the Independent, and the Daily Mail as well, they've all been reporting on the state visit. Also, the preparations at the palace for the state dinner and the Downing Street Accord, of course, which will upgrade bilateral relations to a new global strategic partnership. And Ramon Pacheco Pardo, one eminent scholar of international relations, commented during one broadcast that as President Yoon bases his Korean foreign policy on human rights, democracy, and the rule of law, which is also in line with Britain's foreign policy, common values will be considered highly significant during this visit.
Right, I see. So, Sooyoung, run us through President Yoon's engagements today, starting with the royal welcome that we'll see in just a few minutes.
Well, I'm assuming that the first couple will have been greeted by the Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Kate, as they're better known, at their place of accommodation, and they would have set off to drive together to meet with King Charles and Queen Camilla at the Horse Guards Parade, which is, of course, a ceremonial parade ground in St. James's Park. Now, the Guard of Honor is going to give a royal salute of a 41-gun royal salute to President Yoon and, of course, King Charles, who will be observing the Guard of Honor, and the Korean national anthem will be played. Then the president, accompanied by the king, will inspect. After inspecting the Guard of Honor, they'll be joined by the wives and the Prince and Princess of Wales, and they'll be heading to Buckingham Palace in a carriage progression. There's going to be a second Guard of Honor before a private lunch hosted by the King. And after an exchange of gifts, King Charles will invite the President and the First Lady to view a special exhibition of items from the royal collection at the palace related to South Korea. Now, the first couple will then move along to, near where the UK's Defence Ministry is, to take part in a wreath-laying ceremony at the Korean War Memorial in order to mark the 70th anniversary of the end of the Korean War. They're going to be joined by the Duke of Gloucester, who's long honoured the 8,100 British troops who fought in the Korean War, including those in the Gloucester Battalion.
As we speak, the welcoming ceremony is about to start in any moment, so let's go straight to the scene. For those of you just joining us, we are bringing you a live coverage of the welcoming ceremony for South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol's state visit to the UK, which is to begin in any moment. And in the studio, we are joined by our presidential office correspondent Kim Do-yeon with us. Welcome, Do-yeon.
Good to be here.
So it looks like the Honor Guard parade is about to start. Do-yeon, what are some of the interesting points in this opening ceremony?
Right, Sooyoung actually kind of gave us the gist of it. It really starts with Prince William and the Princess Catherine of Wales coming to pick up President Yoon at his hotel in London, and he will be received by King Charles later at the welcoming ceremony actually being held at the Horse Guards Parade. And as Sooyoung said, it's significant that there will be a 41-gun salute, 20 more than your usual visit by another head of state. What we can expect as of now We'll see as we go along, but President Yoon is likely actually to have a white tie because that seems to be a customary thing when a state visit happens. So I can't guarantee, I don't see it on the screen yet, but that's the usual outfit.
Right. We are currently seeing the footage of President Yoon and the First Lady and greeting the delegates there. So, Doyeon, let's talk more about the significance of the occasion. So, who were the past South Korean presidents that were invited to the UK for a state visit? And is it common for a South Korean president?
Right, so President Roh Moo-hyun back in 2004 became the first South Korean president to be invited to the UK for a state visit, and the second one was President Park Geun-hye in 2013. Now, so this makes the third time a South Korean president is visiting the UK for a state visit. Both of them, the ones prior to this one, were hosted by Queen Elizabeth II, so it is a new state visit. Actually, I just want to correct myself. He's not wearing a white tie. Maybe he'll change it for the banquet later. But continuing with the former two visits, the issues were kind of similar back in the day too, right? President Roh spoke of the North Korean issues as well. The tone were different. Now we're listening to the national anthem of South Korea, as Sooyoung mentioned before, part of the ceremony. Actually, I think that's King Charles. So we've skipped to from the pickup. So
Right.
we're actually already
Right.
at Horse Guards Parade. I'm mistaken for that. Yeah.
So they are.
Shoulder on up, shoulder, arm.
So the leaders are receiving royal salute from the honor guard, and it looks like a special performance is expected by the honor guard there very soon.
Yeah, so the military review is underway. The two will go around. I think it really is similar to how President Yoon does it back in his office for state visit at Yongsan. He'll go around seeing the military review.
Right. President Yoon and King Charles are taking a stroll down the aisle as they are receiving honor from the honor guard.
Right, and it's important to note that this happens at its fullest scale only during state visits, right? And state visits are usually only twice a year. So it's a special occasion and a very, very historical move that the UK government kind of utilizes, just like other governments, to kind of ramp up the cooperation with another country, a very big diplomatic move.
Yes, you're right, Doyeon. So while we take a look at the honor guard inspection, let's talk about the occasion more. So how common are the state visits to the UK in general?
So as so it's usually capped at 2 per year. The procedure is that foreign monarchs, presidents, or prime ministers are invited to visit the king on the advice of the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. That's what the royal family website says. The one before this was from a South African president late last year.
Right. I see. They are still walking, and the music, traditional Korean music, Arirang, is playing while they're getting the honor.
Actually, that wasn't really mentioned during the presidential office
Really?
briefings either. So I am actually pretty caught off guard with the choice of background music by the British military.
I see. So, Doyeon and the honor guard are expected to give a 41-gun salute. So could you explain more on that?
Right, 41 gun salute is the highest honor given, a show of respect per se, by the military of the British. It's usually 20 less on other visits. So the soldiers are going to be, now we see the carriages. There's going to be 7 carriages, the main one for King Charles and President Yoon, to go down the mall, which is a historical road connecting to the Buckingham Palace. Historically and traditionally, the carriages have 6 horses, and according to the presidential office, there's going to be 7 to escort President Yoon and his aides, the ones that are traveling to the palace with him. From what I've read, the carriages are very, very uncomfortable. There's some quotes by Queen Elizabeth and King Charles himself saying that it's one of the most uncomfortable rides he's ever been in. So I am jealous that he gets to be in that carriage, because not everybody has the chance to, but apparently it's not that comfortable.
It looks uncomfortable.
Right. And it's been around for hundreds of years, right?
Right. And riding that carriage, King and the Queen and the Prince and the Princess of Wales and the Korean presidential couple will travel to the Buckingham Palace, where King Charles is likely to host a private lunch, right?
Right. That's going to be the official lunch for this state visit. We don't know what the president has brought for the present yet, but I can refer to what has been given. That's when they exchanged presents and stuff. President No, back in 2004, gave Queen Elizabeth II a bunch of stuff, but a part of it was 5 DVDs of Korean films. Obviously, not many that's watching right now might know what DVDs are, but that's how we used to watch movies.
Right.
And President Park gave the late Queen Korean red ginseng, but ginseng that's the highest of its quality. So those were sort of the things that South Korean presidents had brought to UK as a show of appreciation for obviously a very warm welcome.
Right. That's very interesting, Doyeon. So they're traveling to the Buckingham Palace, riding the carriages. And at the Buckingham Palace, a private lunch is likely to be hosted by King Charles, and they are expected to view a special exhibition in the picture gallery of items from the royal collection that are related to Korea.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they have mentioned it several times, but not many details have been shared through the briefings. So we'll have to wait until how President Yoon reacts to the collection they have
Right.
at the palace.
Right. So that was at the opening ceremony for President Yoon Suk Yeol's state visit to Britain. We see the delegates traveling as well.
Ah, that's the mall.
The mall.
I'm not a London expert, but I studied.
So later in the day, President Yoon and First Lady Kim will attend the wreath-laying ceremony at the Korean War Memorial, marking the 70th anniversary of the armistice of the Korean War. So what would be the significance of this wreath-laying ceremony? Sooyoung?
Well, wreath-laying ceremony is usually a part of President Yoon's overseas trip if that country has participated or served or helped South Korea during the Korean War. Now, UK actually sent around 81,000 soldiers to the Korean War, and more than 1,000 soldiers died. In terms of deaths among the UN forces, that's the second highest, only behind the US. Now, looking at that, it's an important event for President Yoon. It's always an honor for him to kind of show appreciation for the sacrifices.
I see. Also, President Yoon will address the British Parliament, which is deemed as an honor bestowed only to state visitors. And his parliamentary speech is expected to be in English. So what do you think his speech will reflect?
Right. No specific details are out yet, but we do know so far that the title of the speech will be "A Friendship to Turn Our Challenges to Pure Opportunity." And that's apparently a reference to William Shakespeare in his masterpiece Romeo and Juliet. The actual line, by the way, is to turn your household's rancor to pure love. I looked that up, to be honest with you. It didn't come to me straight away, but in terms of the content, we can refer to his speech at the U.S. Congress when he was visiting Washington, D.C. for a state visit last April. He, of course, showed appreciation for the sacrifices made by the U.S. during the war, which I'd imagine will be also mentioned during his speech at the British Parliament. And seeing that he's always a big advocate of rule-based, the rule of law, he's likely to show his admiration for the long history of British Parliament and the democracy it represents.
They wanted to, the board wanted to sell it.
I see. So those of you just joining in, we are bringing you a live coverage of the opening ceremony for President Yoon Suk Yeol's state visit to Britain.
So, just to come up with, share what I have ready for this event, that group of soldiers is called the Household Cavalry. It's, I believe they're a special group of unit of military in the British, in the UK, for events like this, to host events like this.
I see. So, Sooyoung, what are some other interesting points in this opening ceremony?
So the 41-gun salute is fired from Green Park and the Tower of London. We didn't get to really hear it yet, or it wasn't really caught in our attention, but that's where it happens. And other than that, I think they're almost there, actually, turning to Buckingham Palace.
Yep. I see some carriages.
So the mall just on the mall is has St. James's Palace with other official buildings around it as they were walking by it. So that's what we were seeing from the screen.
Yeah, we see President Yoon and King Charles in the carriage traveling to the Buckingham Palace.
Right, right. I mean, they don't seem too uncomfortable.
Yes.
Hopefully, it's a fun ride. And you can kind of see the one that King Charles is in is clearly the most elegant and the luxurious one, to say the least. The ones, as I said, there's 7 carriages in total, in the escort
Right.
of the South Korean delegates to the Buckingham Palace.
The delegates are also traveling together with the couples. That was our special live coverage of the welcoming ceremony for President Yoon Suk Yeol's state visit to Britain. So Doyeon, what did you think of the opening ceremony?
To be honest with you, I've seen a lot of footages from the past state visits to the most recent one. It was similar, but I was caught off guard with the music of their choice, Arirang.
Right.
Yeah, so that was a very interesting point of the ceremony.
Right. Arirang and also the national anthems were played. And yeah, that was very interesting. And calling himself the #1 salesman of South Korea, President Yoon is attending a Korea-UK business forum on Wednesday with some 200 CEOs and business representatives from both countries. So what would be some of the business opportunities between the two countries?
That's right. Like you said, he's called himself the #1 salesman of South Korea for a while now, and everywhere he goes overseas, he tends to be looking for opportunities to kind of boost business between the two nations. And there's an event called the Korea-UK Business Forum, hosted by the Federation of Korean Industries and the UK's Department of International Trade. It's already announced that 31 MOUs will be signed, and actual deals signed there will be worth more than $200 million. So these are some of the numbers, and what's inside it is that MOUs will be on AI, energy, infrastructure, and weapons. The deals closed at the ceremony already will be in heavy industries and aerospace, among others.
So a lot of MOUs are to be signed there. That's
Right.
Great. Lastly, Doyeon, what are some of other major events on President Yoon's itinerary this week?
Right. As you said, there's the wreath-laying ceremony, and there will be the speech at the British Parliament. Now, another interesting event is that he's going to visit Churchill War Room and meet with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, obviously, and other prominent politicians from both sides of the aisle. He then flies to Paris as the Bureau International Expositions will be voting to choose who will host the World Expo in 2030 in just a few days. So he's going to give last push for Busan, as he's been doing since he stepped into the office by hosting an event there for the representatives of BIE members. And the top office says at the last presentation, someone very influential globally will be giving the presentation. So keep on watch for that one.
Thank you, Doyeon, for your thorough report. That was our special live coverage of the welcoming ceremony for President Yoon Suk Yeol's state visit to Britain. Now, let's get back to our news coverage.